Yeah, so you see, I'm trying to figure out if it changes color or it's just because it's an old cup. But we did a regifting thing this year, and
White
this
elephant, right?
we didn't call it white elephant.
Oh,
we
no.
just call it we just, if we had something around the house, we regift, and we try to get each other funny gifts. So
Yep.
I regifted a sweatshirt that he gave me that has a beer on it, and it's a beer that's dressed like a frosty snowman or something. I don't remember.
That who
But
gave
then
you? Craig gave you?
Craig,
Okay,
yeah,
got it.
my father-in-law, and
Yep.
he gave me this Pepto-Bismol cup. So it's
That's
bright
awesome.
pink,
It
and
is
I love it. It's a great
beautiful
coffee cup.
pink. Yeah.
It says when the party's over.
Go to Pepto-Bismol.
Mhm.
We always called them white elephant for whatever reason. I guess that's, but we've done them in my family, my extended family for, well, no, I shouldn't say that. My side of the family for the last 7 or 8 years, save for 2020 because, well, you know why. But funny gifts over the years. I mean, my favorite was one that I think we were gifted, and as you said, you regifted. It was a Shakeweight.
Those are just so inappropriate. I love them.
They are, and of course, at a family event, it's even more so. And so you have people doing the Shakeweight
this,
to
not
the
this.
face thing. Yeah, it was.
Oh, and
hilarious.
it's great because everyone does the face thing.
Yes. Well, yeah. I think it's a tricep thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's why for the Shakeweight.
That's exactly why. Yeah. Mhm.
But there are other notable ones, and it's interesting because, look, we have been greatly blessed as a family financially and so on. And we were dirt poor when I was a kid. We started without going into this long diatribe, but have you ever tasted powdered milk?
Well, I was going to say, have you ever listened to this podcast? Long diatribe. Come on, go ahead.
They're all long diatribe.
They're all long diatribe.
If you've never tasted Carnation powdered milk, don't. And no offense to Carnation, but I think offense to cows everywhere because, damn, it was just like watery white water, and it was not good. But it was for a while. It was
preparing you for the day where you start making nut milks instead of drinking bovine milk.
I would much rather drink an almond milk than Carnation instant milk. And it doesn't have to be Carnation. It can be whatever instant milk. Bob's instant milk would be equally as bad. But we had 5
Everyone
kids.
Knows Carnation. So
well, for sure. Yeah. For sure.
Kind of like Kleenex.
With 5 kids, that's an interesting point. With 5 kids, we went through 4 more gallons of milk every week. Mm-hmm. And so it got to be quite expensive
even back then, milk per gallon was more expensive than gasoline.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. Absolutely right. But the cars just didn't run well on the milk anyway, though. So we stopped doing that.
But I hear there are some manufacturers working on that.
Let's hope so. So back to my original point, we've been blessed now. And what happens with these white elephant gifts is some of the family members who shall remain nameless, try to outdo each other. There was a $50 gift card for something with another silly gift. And we did 1 year, there's a brewery near us called the Tyranina Brewery. And Tyranina has Bitter Woman beer. So it's obviously a very bitter. They have some of the best names. And this is one of them, Bitter Woman. It's unbelievably bitter. If you love a bitter IPA type of beer, that's the one for you. Anyway, we got a 6-pack of that with running shorts, female running shorts. Bitter Woman on the back. So just a couple of examples of the fun and funny gifts that
that's really good marketing right there.
I think so too. And they're smart people. And it's a micro brewery. I know the owner, which is how small it is.
Wow.
But he does. Yeah. Tyranina. If you have not been there, it's in Lake Mills, Wisconsin. And they do, really some good ones too. They have a honey blonde, and they have Rocky's Revenge is probably my favorite. It's a really a bourbon barrel dark beer, and
Nice.
I want to say 17% alcohol or more.
Wow.
It's amazing. It's
Well, yeah, when you've got that much alcohol in it.
yeah, you have one of them, and you're pretty much difficult to grab your butt with either hand. But
Nice.
anyway, yeah, Rocky's Revenge is good. Several others, Chief Porter, which is a deep oatmeal, I think oatmeal porter, dark beer.
And I know you dinged before this, but
Yep.
just so everyone knows, not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor yet, although once they hear this, and I will make sure they do.
Well,
Yeah,
you remind me. Well, I'll probably hear it, but I'll tag them in the post.
that would be great. I think they would appreciate that. But yeah, it's there are a lot of quote unquote microbreweries that are actually quite big, and he has actually kind of fought the fight not only locally but in the state of Wisconsin, because microbreweries were not always well looked upon, it seems like here. But
Right.
anyway, it's a neat place.
Very similar to St. Louis in Missouri. It's a beer town.
Oh, for sure.
And when you've got those major beer companies or major any kind of company, it doesn't have to be beer. You're always going to have that competition. It's kind of like the car business. I hate to bring it back to our day job, but it's kind of like the car business.
Yep.
When a disruptor like Carvana comes in and wants to sell used cars online, everyone's like, well, no, that's against the law.
Yeah. There are a lot of opportunities for
not.
lawyers to get involved.
Exactly.
Well, but you know that most states have state laws that are meant to protect certain core businesses like car dealers and so on. And look, I get it. They have spent, for a lot of these dealers, their life fortune, and sometimes generationally speaking, on a facility that not only sells vehicles but services them too. So it is really.
Don't get me wrong, I don't blame them whatsoever.
No.
It's very interesting. It's the same in some states too, and I forget if it was Tennessee where I learned this or if it was another state that I lived in at any point. But there, with some of the liquor laws, with some of the people that are either distillers or wineries or breweries, they can't sell their own product. They actually have to sell their product to a distributor and then buy it back from the distributor so they can serve it on premises.
Got it. Well, and it's
that's to protect the distributor.
Sure. And we were talking about Tyranina. They actually have a tasting room on premises. And I think you're right. I think that's the only way that they can do it. And they serve it not by the bottle. They serve it from their vats, their taps and kegs rather. And that's how they do it. Done it for years, but don't serve any food, or at least haven't.
Right.
And anyway, but it's some hoops you have to jump through because of the attorneys, frankly.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And actually, this is a little bit earlier than I wanted to talk about it, but I went down the meme rabbit hole today because we had a listener send us a message for Potty Corner about your favorite meme, our favorite memes.
Yes.
And so I went down a major rabbit hole today with memes, and I'm going to pull some up here.
Yeah, let's dive in. No. I'd like to dive into that because the one I've been using the most of, and I'll show it to you if it makes any sense, is because I've been flying lately more than normal. And it's just a weird thing about how it works. See if I don't know if you can see this.
I can't see it.
Well, hold on. Let me try to get the lighting correct. Or back it up or something like that.
Oh, is that the meme I shared with you where in the airport?
Oh, it is.
Spaced? Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Yes. And it
30 minutes later.
shows people 6 feet apart in the airport and, in line for check-in or whatever. And they're 6 feet apart with their bags. And then 30 minutes later, when you're on the plane, they are sitting on top of each other. And some airlines are doing that. I got to give props to Delta, because I hadn't flown them for a while. Not only are they socially distancing inside the planes, they bumped me up to first class on 2 of my 3 flights last week.
Nice.
And I don't have big status like I used to.
A lot of people have been saying that about you.
Well, he has no status whatsoever. Why do you have him on your podcast? I know you've heard that before.
Oh, it's status. I thought you said stamina.
Well, I have lots of stamina as long as I'm sitting in the chair not doing anything. I can go for hours.
So what I looked for with a lot of these memes, I don't know if you know this, but I like sarcasm. I don't know if you've ever been able to pick that up at all in any of our
I've
conversations.
never.
Never. No,
No,
I know.
really.
It's very
It's
strange
never
for me.
registered with me.
No, well, not much does.
Oh, I thought you said orgasm. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I
Sarcasm.
thought I had an orgasm once. Wait, no, I thought I had a sarcasm once. That's it. Yeah.
Oh, all right
Yeah.
then. Please continue.
I really need to. I might beep that one out. Anyway, so I looked for memes, and I'm on Pinterest, everybody. Ding me.
Ding.
I'm on Pinterest, and I looked for memes that you really don't have to see the picture. I'll do my best to describe what picture's there, but
Awesome.
most of it is just very sarcastic.
If
So
there is, and I know oddly, Mr. Sarcasm, if there is a picture, describe the picture first before you name
I
it
will.
up. Okay.
So this first one is a Jeep. It's a Willie. So
Okay.
it's the military Jeep, the World War II, no roll bars, green. It's packed out like it would be if it were still active duty military. It's just a picture of the Jeep. And it says, does not care about windows, roll bars, B-pillars, unibodies, four doors, communists, or plastic.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah. Well, you know, me being a Jeepy, that's
Yes.
that was the first thing that came up. Here's a one with Bugs Bunny on it, and it says, I do not suffer from insanity. I enjoy every minute of it.
Nice.
Yeah. Do you have any other favorites? Well, because I have to look
You
up the
had
ones that I
two?
saw earlier.
You
No,
came
I've got a
prepared with
bunch. I've
two
got
of them?
no. Oh
Come
no.
on.
Some of them get a little bad. Some of them get a
Oh,
little
naughty.
raunchy. They get
Naughty.
naughty.
Do you have like an
So
edgy
here,
one that's not filthy? Grandma can't
yeah.
listen.
Well, no, this one's not it. But
Okay.
so this is I don't remember the name of the film, but it has Bill Murray in it, and he was I think The Aquatic Life of Steve Zissou. Kind of it's a very off-kilter independent
Wow.
film. It was
Holy crap.
not one of my favorites, but it's Bill Murray with a beard, sunglasses, and an orange cap pointing like this.
Okay.
It says 2 reasons I don't trust people. 1, I don't know them. 2, I know them.
That's good. I like it. Yeah.
Here we go. I'll clean this one up. I won't use my favorite word in
Okay.
there, but it's one of those memes where it's a drawing of someone, and it's a man with a kind of a smile holding a teacup, and he's just like smiling. It says, I just got a booty call from life. Apparently it still wants to I'm sorry. I screwed that one out. It says, I just got a booty call from life. Apparently it wants to keep screwing me. Except it didn't use screwing.
Didn't say screwing. Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. I like it. I guess I may have laughed harder than I should have.
No, you did laugh very hard.
Well, I just thought
it's funny. These are all funny. These are all hilarious.
We'll be the judge of that.
Now, this one doesn't have a picture behind it. It's just white text on a black background. It says, apart from being exhausted, financially unstable, nearing a mental breakdown, and being fat, everything's great. Thanks.
Excellent. Yep. Thank you, 2020.
Yeah. Here's one with Pee Wee Herman in the background, and it says, the word of the day is shit show.
Excellent. Yeah. Every day.
All right, this is the last one. I'm gonna. I got it. There's 2 more I want to give you, and then we'll move on.
Just read that interface.
Yeah. I may not be that good looking, or athletic, or funny, or talented, or smart. I forgot where I was going with this, but I do know I love bacon. It's an old cowboy sitting. It's just a picture of an old cowboy.
Excellent.
Here's a picture of, and I don't remember the actor's name, but it's a HBO original series that at the end of it, they turned into a film. I think you and I have talked about it before. It says, life has never given me lemons. It's given me anger issues, anxiety, a love for alcohol, a serious dislike for stupid people, but not lemons.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to revisit. Go ahead. You have another one.
One last one. It's Daffy Duck. Apparently, when you treat people the same way that they treat you, they get offended.
That's a pretty good one, Daffy.
That one's a good one.
I'd like you to say it in Daffy Duck's voice, though.
No, I can't do Daffy Duck's voice. No, I can't.
Fluffer and fuckatash.
There you go. See, I didn't even remember that line. I do now.
Okay.
Have you ever seen? There's two of them. I own both of them. They're really good. We watch them for Halloween. It has Woody Harrelson in it. The first one actually had Bill Murray. Actually, both of them have Bill Murray in it. It's a zombie flick, but it's more of a comedy zombie flick.
Okay.
Anyway, it's Woody Harrelson. He's dressed up in that costume from that movie. It says, "Forget about the zombie apocalypse. It's never going to happen. Worry about the dumbass apocalypse. It's already upon us."
There's some truth to that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, going back to the bacon, it reminded me of the Michael Scott bacon episode on The Office.
Of course it did.
Here's his quote. This is it's worth it. It's worth it. "I enjoy having breakfast in bed. I like waking up to the smell of bacon. Sue me. And since I don't have a butler, I have to do it myself. So most nights before I go to bed, I will lay 6 strips of bacon out on my George Foreman grill. Then I go to sleep. When I wake up, I plug in the grill. I go back to sleep again. Then I wake up to the smell of crackling bacon. It's delicious. It's good for me. It's the perfect way to start the day. The day I got up, I stepped onto the grill and it clamped down on my foot. That's it. I don't see what's so hard to believe about that." He comes in with bubble wrap on his foot.
Jeez.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
All right, here's one with the dude drinking a White Russian
Okay.
at a bowling alley.
Of course.
You know who the dude is, right?
I do.
Is it just me, or do idiots multiply quicker than normal people? Too many assholes, not enough bullets. You've got Clint Eastwood in the background for that one. I don't know who the person in the background is, but it looks like a hunter. I'm not saying you're stupid. I just think you have bad luck when it comes to thinking.
Bad luck. You're not blessed with good thinking, genes.
Here's one with, and this is definitely the last one. Here's one with, oh shoot, what is his name? I had it in my brain, and it just left. Steve McQueen.
Disappeared.
Steve
Okay.
McQueen.
Yeah, bullet.
Coffee. I think it's Steve McQueen. He was the one with the movie where he was on the motorcycle that jumped the fence, right? That's Steve McQueen.
Yes.
This guy. This is Steve McQueen. You see it?
Yes.
Okay. Coffee doesn't ask me stupid questions in the morning. Be more like coffee.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Ooh. Never mind. I said that was the last one, but there's a George Carlin.
Okay, do a George Carlin. Let's finish.
I'm going to make sure it's.
Is it the 7 words? Because that's going to take us right back to the swear word episode.
Respect is taught at home. If your kid is a disrespectful little shit, it's your fault. Not society's, not music, not video games, yours. That's not as funny. I mean, it's true. It's not funny.
Yeah, true and true. Yeah. Thank you, George. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. Go on.
No, I forced you to do the last one, so
yeah.
It's on me. Remember, John, we did the meme potty. Thank you very much to our listener who sent that out. That's a great plan for a potty corner. That's awesome.
I think it was a great plan I'm just going to show you this one.
Okay, I'm not going to say it. Okay, so this one is Gunny.
Yep, Arlie Ermy,
who passed away this last year, sadly.
Mm-hmm.
Another 2020. I think it was 2020, maybe 2019.
No, it's 2019.
Okay. Anyway, loved him.
Me too.
In so many different roles. But he said somewhere, I turned it around again. Okay. Somewhere
there's a tree working really hard to make oxygen so you can breathe. Now go apologize to it.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And with that, we'll move on from that particular awesome podcast.
That was we keep saying we're going to do something like that. So, and that's probably why this person asked us to actually talk about it.
I would guess just because did they demand anonymity?
Yes.
Okay. So what a shock.
Really? I mean, would you come on this podcast and actually
do not want my friends to know I listen to this crap?
Right?
Hey, if your friends were listening, then there wouldn't be any danger.
That's true. That's true. Well, how do you know they're not?
It's like someone catching you at a gentleman's club. What are you doing at the gentleman? Wait a second. You're at the gentleman's club.
they have a really good lunch, really good lunch buffet.
I swear, I'm just here for lunch. Yeah.
A lot of people in St. Louis that I knew, business people, would go over to the East Side because all of the strip clubs had incredible cheap lunches, or at least that's what they told me.
I will not implicate any of my friends or past business associates, but I do know someone to whom that would apply as well.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've heard that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, but yeah, because it's been at least 15 years, 10 years since I've been to East St. Louis. So
Well, that's good.
yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I can't help but going there humming the song though. East St. Louis Toodaloo by Steely Dan.
I don't know if I know that one. I probably have heard it, but
It's a rather obscure one, but it's funny to listen to. And I believe I told you this before, but it's worthy of repeating. It reminds me of college in our dorms, and we were in a tower on campus, and every other floor, excuse me, there were 2 floors together were a house, but
okay.
every other floor was guys, girls, guys, girls. So our house was made up of a floor of guys and a floor of girls, and not on the same floor, obviously, but we interacted a lot and it was great. But down the hall from me were probably the biggest potheads I've ever known in my life, and way down at the end of the hall. And one day on a Friday, I went over there. There were probably 8 guys in the room, hunched down in those bolstered couch things that sometimes double as beds. And it was a cloud of pot smoke coming out when I opened the door. And so it's like, oh, you would think they'd be listening to something a little bit calming because that seemed to be the effect. It was East St. Louis Toodaloo, which is not a calming song at all. So that's your assignment, listeners. Go pull up East St. Louis by Steely Dan, and then it becomes funnier because it's not a song you would anticipate being.
You almost sound like you were going.
Kind of similar to that.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's kind of that same sort of a tempo.
So have we ever talked about East St. Louis?
No.
Okay, so I
don't think so.
I don't know if our listeners in 3 seasons know that I love history, and I took a lot of history courses when I lived in St. Louis because that's where I did my undergraduate. I lived in St. Louis for a little over 8 years. East St. Louis was actually built to be a model U.S. city, a city to attract people and be that utopia, or that you have that whole utopian feel.
Wow.
Not to necessarily mimic what we would call West St. Louis. You don't call it that. You just call it St. Louis, but
Sure.
it's west side of the river. East St. Louis, for anyone that doesn't know, is actually in Illinois, while St. Louis is in Missouri. So it was built up, and if you were brave enough, and trust me, you need to be brave enough to drive downtown East St. Louis, it's some of the most beautiful architecture that you'll ever see from the late 1800s, early 1900s.
Really?
It's beautiful. There's some theaters down there that rival any theater in any city you can name. They're absolutely gorgeous. They're all run down and falling architecturally. Yes, they're falling down, but they're gorgeous.
And that is true. If I may, just a quick comparison. That's true of downtown Detroit as well.
I've heard that too. Yeah, yep. I've never been downtown Detroit.
Oh my God.
It is very sad.
You have to be careful. And I don't. That's any city. You have to be careful where you go in especially certain big cities. But they have done a lot to renovate Detroit. Not changing the subject, but there is some beautiful architecture. The Fox Theater down to. I mean, it's just beautiful, and some have been renovated. Some they're continuously working to renovate, and some are just empty buildings that have been empty. And I'm talking about what they would have called 30, 50 years ago, skyscrapers, empty, totally empty.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, full, empty. And I've never understood anyway how that. It's back to East St. Louis. I'm sorry.
And so we get back to even Nashville with the gentrification that happened here on all 4 sides. That's something that I found very interesting. I took a few courses on new urbanization, which East St. Louis, when it was built, would have been considered, if it were in modern day, new urbanization planning.
So
And
when did it begin? When
late 1800s, early 1900s,
got it.
most of the buildings over there. That was just kind of, but it quickly, when some of the industry moved out, it quickly went downhill to a point where in the 90s, I think it was the 90s, early 90s, maybe late 80s, there it was so bad that even raw sewage was running down the
Oh
streets.
gosh. Wow.
It was bad, and it's still bad to this day. I don't know if anything's happened in the last 10 years that I'm not aware of over there. But
It's just there's quite a bit of industrial for businesses that are operating. It's very much industrial along the river, especially.
it is, but when you get along the river too,
Mhm.
or if you move out, that's not East St. Louis,
True.
because East St. Louis is just a little city.
Yeah.
You've got all the other cities that are on the north and south side of East St. Louis, and those are still very productive. There's some really cute little towns. Alton, Illinois,
Mm.
is a very neat little town, one of the most haunted in Illinois, I've been told.
Haunted.
Haunted, yes.
Hmm.
And you've got some great communities that are up and down the river, but East St. Louis is, again, I haven't been there for 10 years, but when I left, it was still a cesspool. When I lived there, it was a cesspool.
Hmm.
And then when John and I are talking about, I know it's weird to talk about the gentlemen's clubs. The gentlemen clubs are not necessarily in East St. Louis. They are in Sauget, which is a separate community from East St. Louis.
Sauget. Okay.
Sauget. Yep.
And that would be, I'm trying to see where
South, I think.
the area is, but where would it be? Would it be south of 55? I-55?
Yes. Yep. Because 55 goes right through East St. Louis.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep. So there's a lot of history there,
There
and
we go.
it's
Yeah, I see it. And I
you see
don't
some of that architecture.
I don't see the architecture. I see the gentlemen's clubs.
Oh, see, I would have been the one looking for the architecture.
Well, I mean, that's part of the architectural landscape,
Okay, if you say so, John.
especially right on Monsanto Avenue. I just think that
Monsanto Avenue, isn't that wonderful?
yes, that's one of the streets. But I
Oh, I know.
see the downtown East St. Louis, and it's like it ends.
It ends before it begins. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, that's interesting. There's an exit off I-55 that looks like it exits onto. Oh, come on, show the street name.
But Martin Luther King?
Not Tudor, but it might be MLK. It's just not labeled.
So I'm actually looking at the Google map right now. It looks like, and I don't know when this was taken, but I'm sure it was taken less than 10 years ago. It looks like there is some positive work being done. I don't
Mostly
see some of
banks.
the,
Mostly banks. It looks like downtown, and you got to know that you got to know that COVID has not been a friend.
oh, absolutely not.
Not only any cities, but especially fledgling or suburban cities.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't look at least from satellite images, it doesn't look as bad as I would have
Well, good.
pictured it. So that is good. I'm happy to see that. But if you see there is a U.S. District Court clerk building. That was a beautiful building. You could actually see it from the freeway.
Quite ornate.
Yes.
Very cool. Well,
Yeah.
it's fun to look at this stuff, and hopefully it's a chance for these cities to kind of come back. But
You would hope. I would be very, very interested in seeing that community come back from, because it was, I would say the nicest way to put it was on the brink of extinction.
yeah. Well, I'd say that's fair to say about Detroit as well.
Yeah. Well, but and yeah. I don't want to say but and leave it at that, but it's Detroit was going down for a while, but nowhere near the amount of time that East St. Louis has been going downhill. So,
well, there's no question. I mean, the automotive industry kept Detroit thriving for a long time, and you find this interesting because Detroit is in Wayne County, and just north of Wayne County is Oakland County, and it's interesting to me because Oakland County at one time was the third wealthiest county in the nation.
oh wow.
So all of the automotive magnates would live in Oakland rather than Wayne, where they worked. And so there are these amazing homes in Birmingham and Bloomfield Hills, Michigan in particular. And there's just sprawling acreages and PGA golf course, and I think it's Bloomfield Hills. And it's just sad because you have all of this wealth one county away, and then this county south of there is just falling to pieces. And it was, and that has happened since.
That's too bad.
Probably the 60s forward. And they've struggled since, although they're trying to create a renaissance of sorts downtown. So, but yeah, it's not unlike many cities.
Completely changing the subject. I did zoom into my very first house that I owned, which was in St. Louis. And it looks like the people that owned it have done exactly what I was planning on doing if I would have stayed in there. Because I'm looking, I can only see the roof right now.
Oh, well,
but there's so
you were going to replace the roof. That's what you were going to do.
Oh, I had to. That was one of the first things. But they put skylights in it, so makes me think that they redid the third floor, which would have been what I did.
Let me see what it looks like.
Well, you can only see the roof.
Maybe Google. One day you'll be able to see it as well. Which one?
That one.
Oh, okay.
And they put the air conditioning on the roof there. They fixed that roof because that one was completely buckled.
So that's like it almost looks like a walk-up of some sort.
It's a row house, yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
See if I can get I don't know how to do it on.
Do you remember what you paid for it? Can you discuss that?
Yeah, I paid $125 for it.
And what year?
2005.
Okay.
And then sold it for $90.
Oh.
Yeah.
Bath. Sorry.
Yeah. It was painful. Why aren't you?
Suck.
It does suck. I want Street View. Give me Street View.
Very demanding.
I am very demanding.
I'm trying to show you. Google Earth. Google Earth.
I was on Google Earth.
Okay.
All right. So there you go. There's the front of it.
Google Earth.
This one right there.
Oh, wow. I love the arch doorway.
Yeah.
Post a picture of that. That would be good to put up on the site.
I will.
Yeah.
When I left that house, there's a lot going on, but there on all of those old St. Louis houses, there's two sets of front doors. You've got the big ones that you would almost, they weren't meant for this, but you would almost call them hurricane shutter doors. They're big, huge wooden doors. And then you've got your front door.
Cool.
I had those on the house when I bought the house. They were still, most people take them off. Mine were still on there. I took them off to redo them and put them in the hallway. One of my neighbors, when I left, went in there and stole them for their house, which was 2 houses down. So they're no longer with my house. They're at one of my neighbors' houses.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah, which is funny because out of all of them, we were the only 2 houses that had that curved archway. So they were the only, that's why they took them, is because the doors fit their archway. They didn't have their original doors.
Wow. It's beautiful.
Yep. It's a very pretty house. It was the smallest and youngest on the block, built in 1897.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. Okay, hold on. I'm going to show you my first house that we bought anyway. And it's going to take me just a moment. So
someday it would be a very short episode, but someday I'll have Jennifer back on the podcast to talk about this house.
That would be cool.
She hated it.
So did you own it prior to meeting her, or did you buy it together?
Not meeting her, but getting back with her. Yes.
Okay. So
I met her in college.
Right. But did you buy it together?
No. Okay. I bought it by myself.
Got it. Okay. I'm going to show you this, and we will crop and we will save. Okay. Sorry. I don't have to tell everybody what I'm doing.
So in this particular house, you saw the front door. The window right above it was the bathroom. Oh. And there was a hole in the floor right next to the toilet. So you could actually see the front door while you were sitting on the toilet. That's her favorite story.
That's very handy.
Yeah. Yeah, this house was a pile. I think so. We bought it for that price, and the real estate agent that I used, she and her partner, they were buying up not just one house at a time. They would buy up neighborhoods in these rundown parts of town. Huh. They would do whole blocks at a time, and then they would rehab one, sell it, rehab the next one, sell it, and use the money to eventually, get these houses going. So I like that because I wanted to rehab this one. That was the whole goal, was to buy it and rehab it and eventually flip it. And we went in and we looked, and obviously you can't look inside the walls, but she said, okay, you buy it for this and you take 2 years, put about 75 grand into it. You should be able to turn it around for about this based on the market. Right. Um, so I did that. And then we started tearing into the walls and found out later, which was never disclosed, that the house had actually burned down at one point. Not down, but had burned.
Yeah.
So when we were pulling down walls, the owner
timbers and stuff.
burned timbers. He
Wow.
just covered it up. He didn't fix anything. So by the time I left, it was a complete gut job. It needed to be gutted. And I think I told you about the live gas lines that were still in the ceiling.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. Yeah. This was a death trap.
Wow. That's so scary. And that's the danger. So when you think about flipping, and by the exterior look of that place, I would say that's the perfect opportunity, a cool spot with, it has neat architectural details. You spend, I don't know, pick a number, 50 grand on it or whatever, and I'm come out of there with a $30,000 profit in my pocket. And until you find something that's
and it was way outside. And I was fighting with the city a lot. I think it would have been better if I hadn't if I would have known what I was getting into beforehand. And I was too young. I will admit that.
Yep.
If I were going into it at 42 years old, I'd have a different approach.
Sure.
And I would have done things a lot differently. Part of it is honestly knowing now what I didn't know then.
Right.
Which I probably wouldn't have known now if I didn't do that
through that. Yeah.
Right.
And that's a really good way to look at it. I should say a healthy way to look at it, that what, you learn from things, and sometimes they're expensive lessons, like that one was for you.
That was a very expensive lesson.
But we all have that, I think. And if you can frame it that way, well, okay, I'll never do that again.
Yeah. Well, my biggest
cheap lesson in the long
I would
run.
say the very first, probably the biggest mistake was not realizing what it meant to buy a house in a historic district.
Sure. Oh,
it's on
all the rules
national. Yes.
Crap.
So as I was planning and budgeting to fix the inside so it's livable, the city was fining me because I wasn't fixing the outside. Like, no, you need to fix the outside first.
Wow. And they're delighted to get a new buyer because they can force you to do those things.
Exactly. Because the last guy was grandfathered in because he owned it before it became a national historic place. And so just the cornice, and for anyone who doesn't know what a cornice is, it's the decorative piece of woodwork at the top of a house like this.
Oh, I thought it was a furnace that you had to put in the corner.
Well, we get to furnaces later. But the cornice is at the very top of the house.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
So they're beautiful if they're done right. Now, some of the people in the neighborhood got away with, because again, they got grandfathered in. They needed to replace it. So all they did was cover it, because you could do that at that point. So you didn't see it on their house.
Wow.
Mine was exposed. So what I would have had to do was have an architect, because I couldn't do it myself.
Yep.
You had to have an architect go up and do architectural drawings of the cornice by itself. Take pictures. Then you would have to take pictures of the cornice as it is, and it had to represent that same cornice or something very similar. You had to take it to two different departments at the city, the historic department, and then this planning department. Get both plans approved, then buy two different permits to go and have it replaced. You had to have the whole thing. You had to put scaffolding in the front of the house, bring the whole cornice down, redo all the work, put it back up, then have it inspected by both of those two departments. The whole thing, just to do a cornice at the top of the house, we priced it out. Again, not me doing it, because I couldn't. One, I wasn't allowed to do it. Yeah. Two, even if I could do it, I don't know how. It would have cost around $35,000 just to have the cornice redone. And this, just to have a piece of decoration redone on the house.
Is why red tape in cities is so lethal to cities.
Yes.
This is why. Yeah. Would you not encourage? Look, I understand certain historic buildings, monuments, things like that. I was recent, or just last week, in Charleston, South Carolina. It's a beautiful city.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and I, to their credit, they have managed to restore and maintain some of these beautiful homes. So I get the reasoning for it, but in the long run, you really should want a a cyclical turn of these properties, that
Yeah.
they go to younger people, and
Yeah.
neighborhoods are the same way. You want the neighborhood to constantly have a stream of older people moving out and younger people moving in.
Yeah.
That's a vibrant, thriving neighborhood. If you're
Yes.
going to say you have to live up to these certain standards, that's what leads to urban blight,
Yes.
because you're going to end up with people who have the money to buy it. And what will they do? No, I'll buy someplace else where I can make more money,
Mhm.
unless they have more money than they know what to do with. Answer, they don't. And they will just go do it somewhere else.
Right, and I'm not saying I don't agree. I love the fact that it was a historic home. I would have replaced the cornice to make it look beautiful.
Sure.
I would have wanted to do that. My biggest issue was you're asking me to spend 30 grand, which, by the way, that was more than I made in a year.
Mhm.
You're asking me to do 30 grand before I can even make the house livable just for a piece of decoration. I will replace the cornice. That was my whole thing. I will replace the cornice. I will be happy to do that.
Yeah.
But let me make the house livable
Give
so
me
I can make
5 years to replace it.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I totally
Because
agree.
I did want that was the whole allure of that neighborhood was to make it look like the historic home when it was first built.
Sure.
That's the whole idea of
Well,
owning a house like that.
and
But
why not give you 5 years instead of forcing the issue and forcing you to sell it? And my bet would be that it still hasn't been done to this day. I could be
yes,
wrong.
that was the first thing they had to do because they
So
weren't
somebody
grab
bought it,
someone bought it. Yep. They bought it
and
for 90 grand.
because
And
they knew.
the very first thing they did, and they were younger. They were older than I am or was
Yeah,
at the time, and they still are older technically.
yeah.
But the very first
Sure.
thing they didn't live in the house. They rehabbed the house. They
Yeah,
went in, they gutted it, they redid the cornice. They probably put 150 grand into it, and
and
they're living there to this day.
oh, it's still the same people.
Yeah, as far
Okay,
as I know, I
so
haven't
so
heard
what I
from it.
would say is that is the exception and not the rule.
Yeah, but
Just to
again,
find people like that, but
they
they bought it for. I get
they
it.
bought it to do it and do it that way.
Wow.
And they probably pay cash. I mean, when I say they're older, when I sold it, I was 29, 28 or 29,
Mhm.
and they were probably 35,
Okay.
36. So they
So
were a
they're
few years.
50 now or so.
Yeah. I mean, I would say safely, they probably made more money than I did at that point. You
Sure.
know, I was stupid. I got into it I was over my head. And
Stupid
that
makes
was
the world go round.
pre-YouTube. That was pre-YouTube. So it was you know,
Uh, Knowing how
look
to
up,
do things,
okay,
yep,
how do you do this? Well,
sure.
I was relying on my knowledge and people to help me where YouTube would have made a big difference.
For
I hate
sure.
to admit that,
Okay,
but
go to your email
oh, okay.
and pull up I just sent you one. It's a Google Earth picture of my first house. Completely different from yours.
Wow. Yeah, it's
Suburban
very
neighborhood.
suburban on a golf course right behind a green. That's a nice golf course.
It's Hilldale Country Club in Hoffman Estates, in Illinois.
Ah, Hoffman
Built
Estates.
built and designed by Robert Trent Jones.
Ooh, I
So
like
it
some
You like some what? Jones sausage?
RTJs.
Where you
No, I
go?
like RTJs. There's the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail down here
Yeah.
in the South, and
Yes,
they're
yes, yes.
beautiful courses.
It's a very nice one, and they always took good care of it. We would regularly get golf balls in the backyard because it is, right behind it was the number 3 green, and, Lisa got hit on the arm once, and it had, like, dimples on the bruise.
Oh, yeah, I had one of those in the back of my leg once. It's not
Wow.
fun.
No,
Not fun at all.
but I never had to buy a golf ball for.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a nice way to do it.
But that was one we bought for 155,000. It had a 30 by 15 pool in the backyard. I don't know if you can
Wow.
see the backyard. We took the pool, we used it one year and gave it to a guy who came and
Oh, that's right. It
dismantled.
wasn't in ground. I
No, it
remember
was
you
above
telling me this story.
ground,
Yeah.
above ground. And then we built this deck, and you can still see the deck on the back, which is good. It lasted this long, which has been several years ago. But it had without getting into great detail, we added patio doors that went out to the deck, and it was a great house. But we hired people to do it because I knew, like you, I think the most we did at that place was put up crown molding in the lower level, split level home, and the crown molding, my brother Brad and I did it, and it took us forever because there were a couple of crags that we're trying to figure out angles, and it was terrible. But we did it. We ended up knocking it out. And
well, the very first time I put in any sort of molding, it took me a long time.
Oh gosh, those
now I can do it really quickly.
I can too. You know how I do it? I call somebody to do it, and they do it really quickly.
Yeah. There you go. That's the right way to do it.
Well, it is now, because YouTube notwithstanding, I don't want to get good at this.
I find it very relaxing depending on what it is. If it takes me a day or two, I'll do it.
It's a lot better if it's a have to do or a want to do rather than a have to do.
Yes. Yeah. Because I look at things like, for example, we talked about having to fix the shower in the master bathroom here. I did find out that I did experiment with something which worked, so I didn't have to cut a hole in the wall. But it was getting so bad that I was about to cut a hole in the wall. The problem with that is I knew if I did that, the shower would be fixed, but there'd be a hole in the wall probably for 6 months before it got fixed.
Yes.
I just know that of myself. It's not, I could patch it, but then they would be patched without any mud around it, and then I'd get it. Then it would finally get mudded, and then it'd take another 6 weeks to sand it, and then mud it again, and then sand. It would be 6 months before it got done, and then I'd have to paint the whole bathroom because I really effed it up. Yep. Couldn't match the paint or something. Yeah, that was a have to. Yeah. So I was very happy that all I had to do was take everything apart. It was literally a spring. Inside of this thing, there was a spring that pushed a bolt forward that blocked the water from going through, which was causing it to drip. All I had to do was replace the spring.
Wow.
It was a 10-cent little piece of metal.
And that caused the trouble.
And luckily that caused the trouble. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. It's usually something small like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and not outside of the house realm, as most of our listeners know, it's been a year, not quite a year, since we've been in this condo. And I'll start this by saying that Lisa is a great cook. She really is. Last night she made osso buco. We had some friends over. Was
it awesome buco?
It was awesome buco. And she just really did a great job. The trouble with this condo is it has interconnected smoke alarms all through. I mean, there are 10 of them in this condo, which is a huge number. And one goes off, they all go off. And so I used to joke years ago that was the timer that Lisa would use to know food was done. But
I love that.
Got me in big trouble. But now we've learned they will go off if you light a candle. Not quite, but it's ridiculous. If you're making anything in the oven or anything at all, like pizza, it will set the alarms off. So now we run the ceiling fans. Sometimes we'll run the exhaust fan above the stove and so on. She had the exhaust fan going. She had the ceiling fans going, and they still went off last night when she's making the sauce for her osso buco. And I'm like, come on. So fanning, and finally it stops, and then they start again. It's just driving me crazy. Even more so, 10 p.m. after our friends left, and there may have been some wine drunk. And at 10 o'clock, when the batteries go out, and they all have individual batteries, even though they're hardwired.
Oh, no.
Stupid. It starts going beep, which drives the dog crazy.
Oh, I bet.
And you can imagine with your dogs. And so he's like hiding. And what's the beep? And I know and we have to identify which one it is.
Sure.
Of course, it's the tallest one.
Yeah.
Never
the easiest one. Yeah.
I have to go out to the garage, get the ladder. It's snowing, so I had to walk outside. Socks get wet. Get the ladder replaced. Found a 9-volt battery, fortunately. Replaced it. fixed. You know, it's 10:30 by that time, and I'm swearing a blue streak. But it's ridiculous. But it's those stupid little things. And I guess you'd have to do it if you were renting. But ownership that's part of it. You just have to be able to suffer those consequences and fix that crap as they arise.
We have the opposite problem here. Ours don't go off for anything. In fact, we've cooked some stuff by accident, and it got super smoky in the house, and we were worried. We're like, why? Our alarms haven't gone off. Why is that? So we thought they were all broken, and we went and tested them. They're all working. Just
they're not as sensitive as ours are. No. Well, it's a trade-off. The house I showed you on Kingsdale had a whole house fan. Have you ever had one of those?
A big ass fan? Oh, the one that sucks it through the attic. I had an apartment that we loved it. We never turned on our air conditioning in the summer in St. Louis.
Yeah, I know. You don't have to. And we've been jonesing for a house with one of those. They're not more than a few $100 probably to have installed, but that was awesome because you get
really makes air
in the house. Oh my gosh, it's like a jet engine sucking out all of the air inside. So it smells like we were making awesome buco last night. You hit the switch and man,
not anymore. So and we really have to wrap it up here, but this is a good conversation. I was working in Atlanta, and I worked for a company that did special events and very specific special events. And this one special event, we were hired to put on ghost tours. Really? And it was in Atlanta, and they hired us to do. It didn't last very long, but it was a couple of weeks, and we brought in all of our foggers, and they have those fans in the ceiling because they're underground. And we brought in we didn't have time to do any dry runs. So we brought in the foggers and just set them full blast to see because we were trying to fog the whole place, but just enough to make it eerie. Sure. No, we fogged it so you couldn't see your hand this far in front of your face. It was horrible, but it was great because the people that ran the place just said, hold on, flipped a switch. All you hear this, all these fans go on. And and you just watch all the smoke just kind of rise.
Wow.
And then poof, it's gone.
It's gone.
It was crazy. It was awesome. But that reminded me of the fan that I had.
Could you do your fan impression again? Because that was brilliant. That's amazing.
I know. I'm really good at it.
I thought I was in.
I bet you did. So, but anyway, enough about me, enough about us, enough about fans. Unless you are a fan, and if you are a fan, exactly like where I went.
Wow, yeah, that was that. Whatever you're getting paid, double it.
Okay, thank you. I just got to raise everybody. You heard it direct from John. I'm gonna make $2.
This is why your math is so bad.
Yeah, right. That's why employers love me.
Yeah,
my math is so bad. Yeah, I want a 1/3%. Anyway, if you have any comments about our wonderful episode, or if you want to add to our Potty Corner, I would love to hear some memes from you guys as well. Head up to PoddiMouths.com, and from there you can either leave a comment, you can listen to the podcast, you can listen to previous podcasts, or you can head up to social media and leave us comments there. If you get a chance, I would love this. Something we'd really like to add to our outro, if you will, is if you're listening to this anywhere where you can subscribe, and comment, please do so on those, because that moves us higher. That allows more people to listen. If you've got a friend you think would enjoy our wonderful banter, we thought we had a sarcasm once.
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that great? I'll steal things from trolls all day long. Ding. I've got John rolling on that side of the video there. Anyway, leave us a comment. If you've got a friend that you dislike and you want their ears to bleed, ask them to listen. Have them subscribe. Have them leave comments. All that good stuff.
You want their ears to bleed?
That's what happens if you really dislike someone. I'm sure we made plenty of people's ears bleed.
I would imagine that's true. And they keep coming back. That's the weird part.
That's the best part. That is absolutely the best
I'm going to the merch store. I really am. As soon as we're done, and I'm going to buy something because I need a new mask for one. A new PoddiMouths mask.
Yeah, that's good.
I probably need another T-shirt too. So.
You should get another T-shirt. I'm actually going to do the Bonanza sweatshirt.
Oh, are you? Good for
Yeah.
you.
I love that sweatshirt.
Okay.
So,
And is it spelled? It's not spelled Bone Anza, is it?
it's
Bone.
Bonoanza.
Excellent. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing you wear
Bonoanza.
that.
Yeah.
It's got to be better than the sweatshirt you're wearing right now.
This is a great sweatshirt. This is a very old sweatshirt. I'm
Yeah, I
wearing a
imagine.
Minnesota Golden Gophers sweatshirt, everyone. And John
Caw-caw!
is jogging me.
Caw-caw!
Yeah. What do you have? A badger? A badger?
You
Anyway,
don't want
folks,
them badgers.
have a great week.
Do it. We'll talk to you soon. See ya.